Hi all, this video is going to be about lesson 6 of chapter 1, which is about midpoint and distance in the coordinate plane. So you will definitely have an idea about this lesson. It's not that it's something new to you, but again we'll have to of course learn some formulas here as well. So here we are going to learn these formulas. There are two formulas to be learned, the midpoint formula and the distance formula. But before we start with the midpoint and the distance formula, first let's start from what is a coordinate plane. Now a coordinate plane is divided into four regions by a horizontal line which is called the x-axis and a vertical line which is called the y-axis. So this is how a coordinate plane looks like. A coordinate plane has four quadrants. Each of them are called quadrants. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So it has been, how is the coordinate plane formed? Just by a line which is called the x-axis has crossed a line, another line called y has crossed this x line. So the center where they both meet is called the origin, and then whatever from the origin, the numbers to the right are all positive numbers. From the origin for the left are all the negative numbers of x. Similarly, from 0 to above are all the positive numbers of y, and from 0 to below are all the negative numbers of y. So this is called a coordinate plane. Now, why is this coordinate plane important? The location or coordinates of a point are given by an ordered pair. So an ordered pair has the value of x and y. Okay, an ordered pair looks like this. It will have the value of x first and then the coordinate for y, which means this is the value for the x coordinate and this is the value for the y coordinate. This is how you need to identify the x and the y coordinate. All right, so let's start by looking at what this midpoint formula is about. Midpoint is like there is a line, there will be a line. You have to find the middle, the exact between, the middle of the line. That's what you need to do. But we are not so perfect to find out exactly where is the middle, so it's better always we use this formula. The midpoint M of a segment AB with endpoints A and B is found by, this is the formula we need to use, x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and then a comma to separate the coordinates, then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So they have given you the 2 points, that is point A and point B. They have given you both the coordinates. You have to find the midpoint. So to find the midpoint, yes, you have to use this formula, which means both the values of x from both the coordinates, both the values of x we add and divide by 2, and both the values of y we add and divide by 2. Now, you could see that it's just like same x1 and then you bring the x2, you move the y1 there and y2. Let's find out then example. It's easy, but you need to be careful when you're solving the numbers because they might look confusing, but they're not. They're easy numbers to solve. So find the coordinates of the midpoint of CD segment with endpoints C and D. So here they have given you the endpoints. Endpoints are the two, C and D. C and D are the endpoints. They have already given you the coordinates. So let's get into finding the midpoint of this segment. So this is how it will look. C is the point, D is the point here. So C is -2, -1, D is 4 and 2. So we need to find the midpoint, the middle of this line. So we can't, as soon as we see, we can't find out where the midpoint is. We will like say blindly, maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here. So we don't know exactly. So we will find out by using the formula. So always start by writing the formula. That's x1 plus x2 divided by 2. This is midpoint. M stands for the midpoint, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now, to make it more clear for you, I just wrote down all the values of x1 and y1 separately. If you want, you can do the same. Else, over the coordinates, you can write x1, y1, x2, y2. This is just to make it more clear for you. I wrote these coordinates. So x1 here is -1. This is y1. If this is x1, this is going to be y1. If the next one is x2, the other one is going to be y2. It cannot be this is x1, x2. No, both the x's will not be together in a coordinate. In a ordered pair, both the x's will not be together. So if one is x, one is y. In fact, the first is always x and the second is always y. Now, let's put them in numbers. X1 is -2 plus x2 is 4. So if you write it like this, it's more easier to get it. Y1 is -1 and y2 is 2. So -2 plus 4 will give us -2 plus 4 will give us a 2 divided by 2. -1 plus 2 will give us a 1 divided by 2. Now we need to simplify this further, right? 2 divided by 2 will give us 1, but this is already in its simplified form. Like, we cannot divide 1 by 2. If you divide 1 by 2, you will get a decimal, that is of 0.5. So you can either write 1 and 0.5, or you can leave it as it is, as half. So the coordinate, that is the midpoint, is going to be 1.5. So where do you think the midpoint is going to be? The midpoint is 1.5. So it's here. This is going to be the midpoint. Okay, this is how you find midpoint. So this is easier. Now the problem comes when you have to work backward. When the midpoint is given and you have to find the coordinate. So here, look at this question. M is the midpoint of AB. A has coordinates 2, 2. So the coordinate of A is 2, 2. And M has coordinates 4 and 3. So M is the midpoint. So the coordinates of the midpoint is 4 and 3. Find the coordinates of B. So you need to be very careful about the question. This question says find the coordinates of B. But the previous question said find the coordinates of the midpoint. Here it says find the midpoint, but in this question it says find the coordinates. So they both are two different questions. When they say find the midpoint, we will just find it like this using the formula. But when they say find the coordinates, we need to use the same formula, but we are just working back. That's all. So first start by saying let the coordinates of B be x and y, because we don't know what the coordinates are. So whenever we don't know anything, we say it is x and y. Now don't use this always. If you don't know anything, don't say I don't know xy. So it won't be applicable anywhere. It's only for math. When you don't know the values, you use, instead of saying just keeping it like that, we say the value of b be x and y, because we don't know, we are going to find them out. So again, we will use the midpoint formula. Now the midpoint formula is m equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now here, because they have already given us the coordinate for the midpoint, we are going to write that in place of m, okay, which is b now. Okay, m, it's the same m. So here we are going to write the coordinates which they gave us for the midpoint. Then they gave us the coordinates for A, which is x1 and y1. So in place of x1, I write 2. In place of y1, I write 2 as well. So I don't know what is x2, so I write it as x. I don't know what is y2, I write it as y divided by 2. Now what's the next step we have to do? We have to separate this equation. We have to write them as two separate equations. Now what belongs to what when we are writing the equation? All the x's come together and all the y's come together. So here, this is x and this is x as well. So we write them together. 4 equals 2 plus x divided by 2. So first solve this. This is divided by 2. So to remove this 2 from here, to move the 2 to the other side, you need to do the opposite. So the opposite of divide is multiply. So we are going to do 4 multiplied by 2, which will give us an 8. Then 2 plus x, that's going to be 8 minus 2, which is 6, equals x. So we already found the value of x. Now let's move to y. This is y, right? We know if this is x, this is going to be y. So this is y, -3, and also this is going to be y as well, because we have to find the y coordinate. So we say -3 equals 2 plus y divided by 2. Okay, now again, divided. Now the opposite of divide is multiply. So we are going to multiply that with 2. 2 multiplied by -3 is -6. So -2 will give us -8 is equal to y. So the coordinates of B are 6 and -8. This is how you find the coordinates when the midpoint is given. Definitely practice is the only thing which will make you easy. So let's practice some questions. So these are the questions. Hopefully you can do it before me, because if you have understood the lesson, you can do it before me. So it's better pause the video here and then do it and then check the answer. Okay, here first you need to understand the question. They said find the coordinates of the midpoint. Find the coordinates of the midpoint. So we are going to find only the midpoint. We don't have to work backward. We are going to find the midpoint. So simply we are going to use the formula. Now what did I say? Whenever you have the two coordinates, always start by writing the values first so that you will not be confused. So this becomes x1 and this is y1. If this is x1, this becomes y1. This is going to be x2 and this is going to be y2. Okay, so let's write the formula. The formula is m equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Handwriting is not good today. x2 divided by 2 and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. All what we are going to do is replace them with numbers now. So m is going to be equal to, the value of x1 is 4. So 4 plus is because it's in the equation. What is the value of x2? It's minus 4. So not to confuse, I am putting that inside the parenthesis. Because if I write plus minus without the parenthesis, definitely anyone will be confused. Divided by 2, comma. What is the value of y1? y1 is negative 6 plus y2 is 2. So I write 2 divided by 2. Okay. Now before that I need to solve the parenthesis. As you know, always there is a 1 here. So plus negative plus 1 multiplied by negative 4 will give me a negative 4. These are basic algebraic rules. So this is going to be 4 minus 4 divided by 2. Minus 6 plus 2 will give me a minus 4 divided by 2. So 4 minus 4 is going to be 0 divided by 2. Minus 4 divided by 2 will give me a negative 2. Now as you know, 0 divided by 2 is going to be 0 and negative 2 will be the same. So the coordinate of the midpoint is going to be 0 and 2. This is how you find the midpoint. It's easy, but doing it slowly will make you understand, and then gradually you can increase your speed. Don't just go on solving and solving, because you have to be very careful about these small things. Minus and plus, you have to be very careful about these things. Fine. Let's find out the midpoint of this with endpoints C and D. So again, the first thing always is write down x1, y1, x2 and y2. Okay, so the formula is going to be m equals, why do I say always write the formula? Because the more you write, the more you will remember. Something which you write, you will never forget unless you are not interested. So y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, so this is going to be m equals, x1 is 0, with the parenthesis a bit bigger, plus x2 is 3 divided by 2, y1 is negative 8, and y2 is 0 divided by 2. So this is going to give us m equals 3 over 2, which is also going to give us negative 8 over 2, right? Minus 8 plus 0 is negative 8. So m is going to be equal to, now as you can see, this is an improper fraction. We need to change it to a proper fraction. Now up to you, you can write it in decimal or you can even write it in fractions, doesn't matter. However, if the answer means the same, that's okay. That's enough for the question, right? So 3 over 2, if you change to fractions, that will give you 1 over 2. Now I have explained in the previous videos many times how to change fractions into improper fractions into proper fractions, into mixed numbers. So I'm not going to explain that again here. So 3 over 2 is going to give you 1 over 2, or you could even say 1.5, because half stands for 0.5, right? So 1.5, and negative 8 divided by 4 will give you, and negative 2 will give you a negative 4. So this is how you need to find the midpoint of the given coordinates, that's the given points. This question says M is the midpoint of Ln. Ln has coordinates -3, 1, and M has coordinates 0, 1. Find the coordinates. Now see, the question is different here. They did not say find the midpoint. They said find the coordinates. So, which means we are going to work back now. Fine. So anyhow, you need to just write it here, x1 and y1. Don't write x2, y2 here, because this is the coordinate of the midpoint. This is for the midpoint, so you cannot say that is y2 and y1, x2 and y2. Okay, so first start by saying what, let n be x and y, because we are finding n, the coordinates for n. So let the coordinates of n be x and y, because we don't know. Write the formula. M equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So here, in place of m, we can write these coordinates because they're the coordinates of the midpoint. So I'm going to write it as 0, 1. These are the coordinates for the midpoint, as m is the midpoint, right? Equals x1 is -3 plus, what is x2? x2 we don't know, so we leave it as x divided by 2. What is y1? y1 is -1, and we don't know what is y2, so we leave it like that. Okay, now we need to distribute, we need to make the equations. So as you know, this is the value of x and this is the value of y for the midpoint. So we bring the x's together, so that means 0 is going to be equal to -3 plus x divided by 2. Similarly, for the y, we have 1 equals -1 plus y divided by 2, right? So here, this divide by 2, so if I move the 2 to the other side, that will become multiply by 2, right? So 2 multiplied by 0 will give us a 0 equals -3 plus x. Similarly here also, you will multiply by 2, that means 2 ones are 2 equals -1 plus y. So 0 plus 3 equals x, 2 plus 1 equals y. 0 plus 3 is going to be 3, right? So I'm going to write it directly in the coordinates, finding the coordinates of n. So 0 plus 3 is going to be 3, and 2 plus 1 is also going to be 3. So the coordinates of n are going to be 3 and 3. It might look like it's a bit longer steps, but when you keep doing it, you will find it more easier and you can do it faster. So let's do one more question here. We have question number 5. B is the midpoint of AC. A has coordinates -3, 4, and B has coordinates -1.5 and 1. Find the coordinates of C. So here they said again, find the coordinates of C. They did not tell you find the coordinates of the midpoint, right? Because the midpoint is already given. See, B is the midpoint, so B has coordinates. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find the coordinates of C. So always start by saying, let C be x, y. Okay, so the formula, now I'm not going to write the formula again and again, but you need to write because it's the first time you're learning. Once you have got perfected in the lesson, it's okay if you don't write, but because you're new, you need to write the formula. Now I'm not writing it, but I have something more to do here. I need to write x1 and y1. So the midpoint is going to be -1.5 and 1, that is m, equals x1 is -3, and we don't know what is x2, so I write it as x divided by 2, comma, we are separating it. y1 is 4, plus, I don't know what is y2, so I leave it as y divided by 2. What's the next thing we have to do? We have to give the value for each of the equations. So this is always x and this is always y. So I bring the x's together. So that means negative 1.5 equals negative 3 plus x divided by 2. Similarly, on the other side, for finding the value of y, I can say 1 equals 4 plus y divided by 2. Now, yes, I know multiplying this is going to be a bit difficult, but as if you know how to do them. So this is divide by 2, which means on the other side it will become multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply 1.5 by 2. You know, you have to change this to an improper fraction. So that's going to become 3 over 2 multiply by 2, that's going to give you 6 over 2, which is going to be 3. So any number multiplied by 2 means again double it. Like 2 multiply 1 is 2, so double of 1 is 2. So the double of 1.5 is 3. You don't even need to solve. If you know that mentally, you can simply say it's 3 equals negative 3 plus x. So if anything is to multiply by 2, here is another tip. If you want to multiply and find out anything by 2, that means just double that up. Double it up, you will get the answer. So the double of 1.5 is 3. How do you know the double of 1.5 is 3? We have 1.5 and 1.5. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And half will give us another 1. That's 3. Same one we got here by multiplying. This is how you work mentally. So if you know 1.5 multiplied by 2 is doubling, that means 1.5, 1.5. 1 plus 1 is 2, half and half is 3. Simple. So this is one tip to become a pro in math, okay, if you want to. So you multiply this again here. So that's going to give you a 2 equals 4 plus y. Then 3 plus 3 minus 3 will become plus 3 equals x. That will give you 6 equals x. And here it will become 2 minus 4 equals y. So negative 2 equals y. So what is the coordinate for C going to be? C is going to be 6 and negative 2. So we have found the coordinates of C also. Now, one more question. I think you can do this by yourself. Pause the video here. Try to do it by yourself. There is nothing wrong in trying new. If you try something new, definitely you will learn something new. So you have to do the same. Find the length of the given segments and determine if they are congruent. All right. So what does this word congruent means? Congruent in easy words means equal. So you have to find the length of each and then say whether both of them are equal, the distance is equal or not. Okay, so let's start with JK and FJ. So first write down the coordinates. It's always better write down the coordinates. So I'm going to write down the coordinates here. Let me start with GF. So for F, it is 5 and 4. How do you read coordinates? Look at where this point is touching x and this point is touching y. So first write x and then y. So G is going to be negative 1 because you know below 0 it's negative 1. And the value of x is 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be 3, negative 1 because see this is 3. So the value of x is 3. The value of y is negative 1. Similarly here we have 1, negative 2, and for this it's going to be, write it here, this is going to be negative 4 and 0. Why 0? Because this is 0, it's on the same line here, it's not touching anything of y, so that's why y is 0. This is going to be, r is going to be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, so negative 3 and y is negative 2. Same, s is going to be 3 and negative 5. So 3 is going to be, s is going to be 3 and negative 5. Whenever you see these questions, first just write down what you know. You know how to find the points, so just write it down. This is the trick for math. Whenever you see something, just write down whatever you know. Okay, so let's find out JK and FJ. So first let's find out the distance between J and K. So let's write down the coordinates. The coordinates for J is negative 4 and 0. And for k, it is 1 and 2, 1 and negative 2. Now, yes, this question might go a bit longer because we need to find the distance of two, two line segments. So first we are finding for the first line segment, the distance. So here we could say okay, here they want you to find the length. So I did not teach you to find the length, so I will teach you that in the next video. But if you can just go through the book and you can try to find, there's a formula for length also. To find the distance, that is to find the distance, there is a formula too. So that I will be teaching you in the next video. So your lesson was only until here. The midpoint, you have to find the midpoint or you have to find the coordinates. But this question is related to the length, so it is not for you for now. It is for you, but after the next video. So till we meet again, keep practicing and keep doing math, keep learning. It is not something new. If you start liking math, you will definitely enjoy doing math. Okay, so till we meet again, keep practicing.